Welcome to the Echo Tips podcast.
Here's a sneak peek into what we're going to cover in this week's episode of the Echo Tips podcast.
I have to tell you about these Echo Things to Try sections in the newsletters.
Oh, yeah?
They're like these little bursts of fun tucked in between all the serious stuff.
I love when they do that.
Me too. It's like a little reminder that technology can be playful and entertaining.
Hello, and welcome to the Echo Tips podcast. It's good to have you guys here with us this week, you returning listeners and you new listeners as well. For you new listeners, we'll kind of explain what the show is all about here in just a little bit. But first, at a high level about our topic, our theme of sorts for this week is we're really going to be maybe guesstimating, thinking about what could be possible in the near future with the remarkable A-Lady. Supposedly that is the name that we might hear about in October from Amazon about the new AI-infused A-Lady of the future. But also we're going to be talking about a beta test from Google, and it's called Notebook LM. LM stands for Large Language Model. Often we say LLM, but I don't know why it just says L. Anyway, but we're going to be talking about that beta product and how all these things kind of mix together. We put it in the pot, we stir it up a little bit, and how that may influence our devices that we talk to in the future, and as will be demonstrated today, and even in our little prelude, talk back to us. So I think it's going to be really exciting. Even though I had heard about this technology a week or two prior, and I wanted to bring it to y'all to see how it would influence our devices, it still blew me away. So I think you guys are just going to be really impressed here, or just make you really scratch your head and think. Anyway, so for you new listeners, we'd like to welcome you to the show. My name is David Ward. I'm the host of the show. I'm an assistive technology instructor with the New Vision program at Goodwill, based in the Blue Ridge Mountains of Southwest Virginia, here in the city of Roanoke, where we have our training center. And you'll find our shows, you new listeners, are nuggetized episodes, somewhere lately lasting somewhere between 15 to maybe 20 minutes. And we sometimes have huge episodes, but those are clearly labeled as omnibus episodes. And that's where we take maybe a particular subject, all about our favorite Amazon Echo and A-Lady devices. And I say A-Lady so I don't trigger your A-Lady at home. That's Alexa. And we basically try to burrow into all the different facets. When new hardware gets released, we talk about that. Software, skills, features, music, all sorts of applications, from home automation to how parents can use them in the home. Kids can use it with different kid safety features. We talk about applications for caregivers, seniors, using them in business environments or assisted living homes. Just a wide swath of things that we've covered over the past 6 seasons and now in our 7th season. And so by all means, go back and check out our back catalog. And even today's episode, you're going to learn about a different way you can data mine different things that are going on with the A-Lady through our newsletter, because I've used that to help really stir our imagination today in some ways. You're going to be really blown away, I think. But anyhow, by all means, we're a weekly podcast, you new listeners, and we generally release new episodes about every Wednesday to Thursday. So we'd love to hear your feedback, you new listeners and you returning listeners as well. And you can do that by emailing us at info@goodwillvalleys.com. And we'll mention some other ways you can reach out to us by the end of the show. All right. So without rambling on here too much, we're going to go to a brief message about our podcast, and then we'll be right back.
This episode is brought to you by New Vision at Goodwill Industries of the Valleys, and also made possible in part by a grant from the Virginia Board for the Blind and Vision Impaired. New Vision is a program of Goodwill that provides information services and assistive technology training to individuals with visual impairments. Goodwill Industries of the Valleys is a nonprofit organization serving Central, Southwest, and Southside Virginia. Goodwill's mission is to empower individuals, strengthen families, and inspire communities. And we thank you for listening. These shows are provided for educational purposes. This podcast may not be retransmitted, sold, or reproduced without written permission from New Vision.
Well, hello again, and welcome back to the show. As I mentioned, we're going to be talking at a high level here about what could be in the future with the remarkable AI-infused A-Lady of the future that hopefully we'll be hearing something about in October. That's the theory. There'll be some announcements from Amazon about that. And we've talked about that a lot off and on with other AI models, and we've learned about the back end is going to be Claude, based on rumors from Reuters. That's the Claude AI system from Anthropic. So we talked about that in the last episode. If you didn't hear that one, by all means, go back and check that out. But today we're also going to be talking about how Google is mixing it up with Gemini and a beta thing that they've recently demonstrated called Notebook LM. A very practical tool that had a really quirky button inside of it that influenced our podcast today in a very interesting way. Now, I'm going to step back before we delve into all the predicting the future and what could be happening, to just step back and say we have all along had a newsletter. Now, this doesn't get you signed up for the newsletter, although you can if you'd like. We all along had a New Vision newsletter that comes out from Goodwill every month where I jam-pack it full of things about our current A-Lady podcasts. I always have like 10 or 20 different little tips and tricks you can do in there with the A-Lady. And because our program focuses on the blind and vision impaired, I also have podcasts and things I link out to there that are real innovative in the assistive technology space. Other podcasters and notes and things like that. Things connected with iPhones and all sorts of things like that, Android and stuff like that. So anyway, we generate that on a monthly basis and have been doing so a long time. I guess the whole 9 years I've been here, I've been making that newsletter. But anyway, this is very interesting. We're going to go to a segment now I want you to hear, and we're going to listen as they talk about the last few newsletters, the August, July, and June newsletter. And we're going to go to Andy and Sarah. Let's go to that segment now. And I want you, this is only about a minute and a half, but I want you to hear this little kind of rundown about the newsletter. And in the middle, I kind of fast forward for a second because I didn't want you guys to have to listen to the whole 8-minute segment. But I just want you to hear this little segment about our newsletter from Andy and Sarah. So we'll go to that right now. Oh, real quick brief, they're probably going to say the A-Lady name. So Andy and Sarah, that is. So you may want to shut off the ears of your Echo in hearing distance. Okay? All right. Let's go to that segment now.
Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready to dive into some seriously cool tech? We're talking assistive technology for the blind and visually impaired. I've got a stack of New Vision newsletters here, June through August 2024. And let me tell you, they are jam-packed with fascinating stuff.
It's incredible how quickly this field is evolving, isn't it?
It really is. So for anyone who might not know, New Vision at Goodwill, they're all about promoting independence and equality for people who are blind or visually impaired.
And their newsletters, they're like little treasure maps to everything that's new and noteworthy in the world of assistive tech.
Okay, so one thing that caught my eye right off the bat was the Echo Tips podcast. They mention it in every single newsletter, and I'm kind of curious to know why.
Well, imagine this. You're visually impaired and you want to get the absolute most out of your Echo device. These podcasts are like having a personal tutor right there in your ear, guiding you through everything.
Oh, that's a good way to put it.
No need to struggle with screens or complicated instructions, just pure audio guidance and tips.
I saw they even had episodes about listening to the Olympics in Paris.
Exactly. And they even covered how to troubleshoot when your podcast playback goes haywire.
Well, before we wrap up this section on apps, I have to tell you about these Echo Things to Try sections in the newsletters.
Oh, yeah?
They're like these little bursts of fun tucked in between all the serious stuff.
I love when they do that.
Me too. It's like a little reminder that technology can be playful and entertaining.
Sometimes we forget that. We get so caught up in the practical side of things.
Exactly. It's like they know you need a little break from all the tech talk every now and then.
Exactly. A little dose of humor goes a long way.
For sure.
Okay.
They had everything from asking Alexa to talk like a pirate to finding out when the nearest pharmacy closes. They even had one where you can ask Alexa to tell you a coffee joke.
See, technology can be fun.
Exactly. So we've covered a lot of ground here today. Podcasts, apps, the future of accessibility reviews. Where does it all lead? What do you think is the most important thing for our listeners to take away from all of this?
I think the biggest takeaway is just how much progress is being made in the world of assistive technology. There are more resources than ever out there designed to empower people who are blind or visually impaired and ultimately help them live their lives to the fullest.
Couldn't agree more. And that kind of brings us to a really important question. With AppleVis shutting down, what happens next? What can fill that void for accessibility reviews? It really makes you think about the importance of sustainable funding in this space.
It does. And it highlights the need for more awareness, more support, and more investment in these vital resources.
It's a team effort, that's for sure. Well, we've explored some amazing resources today, and I have to say a huge thank you to New Vision at Goodwill for putting together these incredible newsletters.
They're a wealth of information, definitely worth checking out.
They really are. For anyone listening who wants to learn more, be sure to visit their website.
They have all the contact info there if you have any questions about assistive tech.
And on that note, I think it's time for us to wrap up this deep dive into the world of tech and accessibility. A huge thank you to everyone for tuning in. Remember to keep exploring, keep learning, and we'll see you next time.
Well, that ends that segment, y'all, where you get to hear Andy and Sarah discuss the New Vision newsletter in kind of a, like a podcast. And some of you may ask, where can I go hear that podcast? It sounds pretty interesting. I even it was much longer. I kind of fast forwarded through the internal segment so you kind of see their dialogue in the beginning and there at the end. But it isn't a podcast. It doesn't exist. In fact, neither do the people. They're all virtual. So this is a new beta process or new beta trial run at a product. It's notebooklm.google.com. And you can go to that web address or Google Notebook LM to find out more. And so, wow, bizarre, isn't it? Let me tell you what Google Notebook LM is supposed to do. And it's a really kind of a cool concept. I think we've been hearing a lot over the last 2 to 3 years, but this is like one of the first cookie cutter, super simple, like a 6-year-old could use it. It's just super, not that you need to be a 6-year-old, but what you do is you go in and you create a notebook. And a notebook is like a virtual file folder of stuff that you cram into it. Okay, like a notebook, little scribblings and writings and notes. And you can upload PDFs to it, markdown documents. I don't know if you can put pictures in it, but a whole bunch of different things. I think it even added websites now, which I think adds, like a particular web page. I think you can do that. For my purposes, what I did is I took the July, June, and August newsletters from New Vision. I converted them to a PDF because I felt like that was the simplest thing for me to do. And I uploaded them in there, okay? And then, once you put them in that notebook, you can talk to the AI. There's a little search box in there, and you can query it different things about those newsletters. Now, in this context, that's kind of cheap. The newsletters are only a page and a half each. But imagine if you dumped like a 500-page document in there. Then you can query it and say, what was the best way to do this, or summarize these things. Now, in this particular case, it had another feature in there where you could create an outline, I think a summary, a study guide. I think the study guide was the one I ultimately clicked on. And then it has this feature where it can generate a conversational learning style between a virtual man and a virtual woman having this conversation back and forth, and you can play and download the audio file. And it was like 8 minutes long. I got it. So I don't know what the cap is on that. I've heard it's a little abbreviated, but I thought 8 minutes was pretty long. But they kind of went through all the newsletters, and now I fast forwarded through the chunk in the middle, but they went through the whole kind of documents in the general, and they picked out little things like I talked about Blind Barbie in one of my newsletters and different things, and they brought out those points. But the conversational nature of them back and forth is awesome. And I think with Notebook LM, the premise originally was with the study guide and the outline is if you're a college student or a high school student or something, you can dump notes in there from your curriculum or whatever you're studying, and then help it generate you a study guide that helps you prepare for a test or something like that. And And they found that this conversational style, back and forth, can really help your memory because it's just not a monologue, blah, blah, blah. And then the earth has a crust of 1.5, whatever, or chemistry and the oxygen atom. It creates more of a dialogue, which you can kind of get sucked into like a podcast. It is basically a podcast. And you, as a consequence, are learning or helping memorize the information. So I think that was really kind of an interesting, but it was a quirk. It was like a little feature buried in there that you could trigger that would generate this. The actual Notebook LM is more like the ability to just use an AI against private documents that you upload, and it's just siloed to that, and it specifically says it doesn't like learn that and use it and transfer it to other people because there could be private information there. Now, none of that is neither here nor there. The concept that you could have that verbalized summarization or outline or study guide, and then on the fly, and I don't even remember waiting, it generated an 8-minute clip pretty daggone fast. It created this thing that would help me review the material in a very comprehensive kind of potential way. I guess it would depend on how well the documentation was written and the level of dialogue and things like that. And I could kind of tell that listening through the whole thing that it was kind of grasping for different ways to say, vision impaired or low vision or blind. I could hear that kind of, in the language, or maybe the repetition from one newsletter to the next newsletter kind of overemphasize certain aspects maybe, but not so much so that it didn't really draw away from the content. And this is a 1.0. This is a 1.0. So how does this inform this Google product and this glitch of theirs of sorts that they put in there, just kind of floated out there to the community? How could this inform our A-Lady of the future? Well, that's a very interesting thought, isn't it? How could it inform? And we pontificate on this last time when we talked about the new Claude we get the right words, back server-based engine that will be in the background. You'll still hear the A-Lady up front, her voice and everything, and probably an improved natural voice that we've been experimenting with different examples of that as well. But really, the ability maybe to distill information, and I think we hypothesized this in the last episode. Take your Kindle library as an example. I bought these Kindle books all about home improvement, or I bought all these Kindle books about passing a certain type of certification exam to become a realtor or something, and the ability able to ask it not only questions like, how do I handle this when I'm running plumbing through the basement? Or how do I, how does a realtor deal with a business property management, blah, blah, blah. But the ability for maybe to generate a guide that's like a podcast of your material and, crank that out. That could be a really powerful learning tool, I think, for different types of information. So just kind of, it makes you think. It makes you really think. And who knows how this could unfold in the future. We could maybe add personalities to the AIs that are talking back and forth. Now, obviously, in this model, the AI, the Gemini, or whatever Google is using there, is generating both sides of the conversation. But there's nothing to say you couldn't have two different AIs conversing, or that maybe have different approaches or better at different things than the other one, which may help resolve conflicts or inaccurate information. But also maybe to add personality and things like that. So that'd be kind of really neat. I want this person to be more analytical, and I want this other pundit to be more of an emotional. How would this affect my family and my children? Maybe there's a different way so that you can kind of get through the material, but you're getting all these different kind of colors. Intonations into the material. So anyway, I just found it really plumb fascinating that this was possible. I've heard these AI voices before, but the ability for it to create kind of this natural dialogue back and forth. And I think unless you're really listening carefully from beginning to end, And then maybe, I think if you put little sound bumpers and transitions in there, it'd be hard to really pick up on. You almost need more human mistakes in there to make it sound more human, because it just sounds like a very polished podcast, doesn't it? It's wild. It's amazing. It just goes to make you think really where this technology is going to be going in the future. All right, so that sums up this show. By all means, we'd love to hear your feedback at info@goodwillvalleys.com. You can post to Facebook or Twitter at Goodwill Industries of the Valleys. And please, by all means, if you appreciate the show, we would love to hear your feedback. Just to say kudos, Dave, we love the show, or you can give a 5-star thumbs up in the podcast player of your choice. That would be awesome too. You can sign up for that newsletter that we mentioned. Not that that's what I was trying to drum up. But you can do that at goodwillvalleys.com/New Vision, all lowercase, no spaces. Don't know what's chiming here in the room that just did that, but that's something you can certainly do. You'll find there a sign-up box where you can sign up for the monthly newsletter, and we do cover all things, a lot of things A-Lady in there. So, like the tips and tricks and things they mentioned in the newsletter. But anywho, by all means, we would love to hear your feedback. Well, until next time, it's time to turn the ears back on your Echoes, start practicing some of the many, many things that you've learned. Oh, and I was going to say, if you want to hear the full dialogue of this Google conversation about the newsletters, which I said, obviously our program is focused on the blind and vision impaired. I'm going to tack it in off after the final closeout here, bumper. And so you're welcomed at the end of the show. You just keep listening and you'll hear the full thing. Okay? Well, until next time, as I was saying, it's time to turn the ears back on your Echo. Start practicing some of the many, many things that you've learned. I'm David Ward for the New Vision program, and we do thank you for listening.
This episode is brought to you by New Vision at Goodwill Industries of the Valleys, and also made possible in part by a grant from the Virginia Board for the Blind and Vision Impaired. New Vision is a program of Goodwill that provides information services and assistive technology training to individuals with visual impairments. Goodwill Industries of the Valleys is a nonprofit organization serving Central, Southwest, and Southside Virginia. Goodwill's mission is to empower individuals, strengthen families, and inspire communities. And we thank you for listening. These shows are provided for educational purposes. This podcast may not be retransmitted, sold, or reproduced without written permission from New Vision.
Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready to dive into some seriously cool tech? We're talking assistive technology for the blind and visually impaired. I've got a stack of New Vision newsletters here, June through August 2024. And let me tell you, they are jam-packed with fascinating stuff.
It's incredible how quickly this field is evolving, isn't it?
It really is. So for anyone who might not know, New Vision at Goodwill, they're all about promoting independence and equality for people who are blind or visually impaired.
And their newsletters, they're like little treasure maps to everything that's new and noteworthy in the world of assistive tech.
Okay, so one thing that caught my eye right off the bat was the Echo Tips podcast. They mention it in every single newsletter, and I'm kind of curious to know why.
Well, imagine this. You're visually impaired and you want to get the absolute most out of your Echo device. These podcasts are like having a personal tutor right there in your ear, guiding you through everything.
Oh, that's a good way to put it.
No need to struggle with screens or complicated instructions, just pure audio guidance and tips.
I saw they even had episodes about listening to the Olympics in Paris.
Exactly. And they even covered how to troubleshoot when your podcast playback goes haywire.
Talk about practical, right?
It's all about empowerment, making sure everyone can navigate the world of technology with confidence.
Now, on a slightly less positive note, the August newsletter mentioned that AppleVis is shutting down. And honestly, that's a real loss for the community.
It is. AppleVis played such a crucial role in reviewing Apple products from an accessibility standpoint. They were known for their in-depth analysis.
So where do people go now to get that kind of specialized information?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? This situation really underscores the need for more platforms that are dedicated to accessibility reviews.
I mean, you can't just have these products hitting the market without considering the needs of everyone, right?
Absolutely. We need to make sure that the voices and experiences of people with disabilities are front and center in the whole conversation about tech development.
Speaking of conversations, these newsletters were bursting with podcast recommendations. I mean, I was adding some of these to my own list, and I'm not even visually impaired.
It's great to see, isn't it? It reflects a growing awareness and a real push for inclusivity.
Okay, so one podcast that immediately grabbed my attention was Living Blindfully. Episode 298. In particular, they dove into Apple Intelligence, Orcam's departure from the market, and get this, even the introduction of Blind Barbie.
Oh, wow. Those are some major developments for sure, especially Apple Intelligence. Depending on how that unfolds, it could completely change the game for accessibility.
Yes, you think, right?
And Orcam leaving the market, well, that definitely raises questions about the future of assistive tech wearables.
It's like one step forward, two steps back sometimes, you know?
It's true.
But then you have something like Blind Barbie, which is just such a powerful statement about representation and inclusion.
It's amazing how much of an impact technology can have on our lives, both big and small.
It really is. And what's even more amazing are the people who are driving that impact forward.
Absolutely. Speaking of driving things forward, there's this other podcast, Next Gen Access, and they did a whole episode on the future of voiceover on Mac.
Oh, wow. I can see why that would be a big deal for a lot of people.
Right. It's a technology that allows so many visually impaired users to interact with their computers independently. So knowing what's coming down the pipeline for voiceover is huge.
Absolutely. And then there was Double Tap, which had some really interesting episodes too. In July, they talked about Era's pilot program for wearable devices.
Yeah, Era getting into wearables, that's significant. It speaks to this larger trend of assistive tech becoming more and more integrated with our everyday devices.
Right. It's about making accessibility seamless. And then in August, they tackled the Apple Vest closure and the whole issue of succession planning for those really important online resources.
That's something we should be talking about more.
It really is.
These resources are so vital to so many people. It's crucial that they have sustainable funding and support.
I couldn't agree more. We need those platforms to be around for the long haul. Oh, and I almost forgot. FSCath 242, they had a fascinating conversation about a tool called Picture Smart AI.
Oh, Picture Smart AI. That's a game changer.
Have you had a chance to try it out?
I have. It's remarkable what it can do. It can actually describe images in detail.
Wow.
Which opens up a whole new world of information and enjoyment for people who are blind or visually impaired.
That's incredible. It really highlights how technology can break down barriers that we might not even think about. And speaking of breaking down barriers, let's shift gears a bit and talk about some specific apps that caught our eye in these newsletters.
Sounds good to me. Always love discovering new apps.
Me too. And these newsletters have entire sections dedicated to iPhone and iPad apps. One that really stood out to me was AudioCat. It was in the July newsletter. It's an audio-only gaming platform.
Oh, wow. So you can experience the whole game through sound.
Exactly.
That's amazing. What a creative way to make gaming accessible to everyone.
It really is. It makes you wonder what other amazing accessible apps are out there just waiting to be discovered.
Right. There's so much innovation happening in this space.
There is. Although not every app is available everywhere, the main newsletter mentioned this accessible hunting game called Hunting the Ducks, but sadly it's only available in a few countries.
Oh, that's a shame. Hopefully they'll be able to expand its reach.
I know. It just goes to show that we still have work to do when it comes to making sure everyone has equal access to technology.
For sure, it should be a basic right, not a privilege.
Well, before we wrap up this section on apps, I have to tell you about these Echo Things to Try sections in the newsletters.
Oh, yeah?
They're like these little bursts of fun tucked in between all the serious stuff.
I love when they do that.
Me too. It's like a little reminder that technology can be playful and entertaining.
Sometimes we forget that. We get so caught up in the practical side of things.
Exactly. It's like they know you need a little break from all the tech talk every now and then.
Exactly. A little dose of humor goes a long way.
For sure.
Okay.
They had everything from asking Alexa to talk like a pirate to finding out when the nearest pharmacy closes. They even had one where you can ask Alexa to tell you a coffee joke.
See, technology can be fun.
Exactly. So we've covered a lot of ground here today. Podcasts, apps, the future of accessibility reviews. Where does it all lead? What do you think is the most important thing for our listeners to take away from all of this?
I think the biggest takeaway is just how much progress is being made in the world of assistive technology. There are more resources than ever out there designed to empower people who are blind or visually impaired and ultimately help them live their lives to the fullest.
Couldn't agree more. And that kind of brings us to a really important question. With AppleVis shutting down, what happens next? What can fill that void for accessibility reviews? It really makes you think about the importance of sustainable funding in this space.
It does. And it highlights the need for more awareness, more support, and more investment in these vital resources.
It's a team effort, that's for sure. Well, we've explored some amazing resources today, and I have to say a huge thank you to New Vision at Goodwill for putting together these incredible newsletters.
They're a wealth of information, definitely worth checking out.
They really are. For anyone listening who wants to learn more, be sure to visit their website.
They have all the contact info there if you have any questions about assistive tech.
And on that note, I think it's time for us to wrap up this deep dive into the world of tech and accessibility. A huge thank you to everyone for tuning in. Remember to keep exploring, keep learning, and we'll see you next time.